Say when, Katie.
Zoom updated all the buttons are different.
You're not here.
That meeting is live. All right, calling the audit committee of the Allegheny County Land Bank for March 16th. In order at 9 o'clock. We have minutes from the February 23rd meeting. We need a motion to approve those.
Make a motion, Brian with a Y.
All right, and a second. Any corrections, additions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved. Old business, committee responsibilities checklist.
We have the floor, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
So the last time we met, I gave you a draft of this and I kind of tightened it up a little. Each committee now has a checklist. If we complete these things, then we're good to go for Harris for the year. So if you want to just go through the checklist for audit committee, we can get through this meeting. Independent audit completed as required. Oh wait, everybody had the checklist?
It's on the back.
Back page, be the back page
It's not enough.
of the checklist.
There it is.
Just giving you a hard time.
I wasn't even listening.
I said it's not in alphabetical order.
Oh, I know, but I noticed that after it was over. It's in reverse alphabetical order.
So luckily, the audit committee has the fewest number of checks to.
Yeah, so the independent audit is complete. That'll be presented at 9:30. Audit results reviewed by the board audit committee. You guys all got the audit summary sent to you. There is no corrective action for the audit finding this year. Internal controls policy adopted and maintained. That will bring us to internal control policy. We already have that and maintained, so that's been in our policy, in our policy page on the internet or on the webpage for years. So we haven't done any adjustments this year. So that's been maintained. Internal control systems reviewed annually. That is in the annual report also. The only changes to that from last year were Darwin's suggested changes to that we reviewed last time. Darwin, remember what were those?
No check printed until we actually have a receipt or an invoice.
Yep,
Stating what's.
yeah, so those have been, that wording's been changed to better control that situation. And then the next one is internal control certification complete. We've never done this before. I don't know if they didn't ask for it or I just was missing it for years, but I printed out a page where here from as committee chair, Brian, as the board chair, will certify that our internal control systems assessment, which is in the annual report, is certified. I have that as on the agenda anywhere else. Okay. So you can, if you want to make if you want to make a motion to certify that, or it could be considered certified if you approve the whole board package. I think it'd be something you want to do extra on the side just in case.
So we can get authorize me to sign the certification letter. Get a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Brian with a Y.
Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. What was the other thing you wanted on there?
That was it. I would just send it to the board first certification.
To the board, okay. That's further down? No, that's a different thing. All right. Send it to the board, refer to the board. Motion?
Motion.
Brian with a Y.
Oh, I thought it was part of the second motion.
And Mal? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved. Okay,
And the last check box, review confirms internal controls reasonably safeguard authority assets to ensure accurate financial reporting. So there also in the annual report is the controls narrative. So taken care of, so that we're covered by Paris. We just need to reapprove the committee charter with no corrections or changes.
okay. Any motion for that too? Would I like to make a motion? Darwin, you're on this group, you're welcome to make a motion too.
I'll make it.
I thought it was just Brian and I here until I looked.
You're not used to Darren not saying anything, are you?
Is there a second?
That's a good thing though.
Yeah.
You just wait. It's coming.
Uh-oh, it's coming.
All in favor?
Who was the second? I missed it.
Brian? Why? Approving the committee charter, say aye. Any opposed? That's approved. New business?
And to approve the annual report.
We have an annual report that was provided to us over the weekend. Require a motion.
I'll make it.
Darwin?
I'll second.
Bob? Anyone have any comments? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? That was approved. Next meeting, when do we have to meet again?
Beginning of next year. Probably next January or February.
2027, that's so odd. Who would like to get adjourned?
Motion to adjourn.
There we go.
Second.
Darwin, all in favor of adjournment, say aye. Any opposed? 9:07, we are closed.
Next finance committee, Dar, you're up.
Okay, 9:07, we'll call the finance committee meeting in order. Meeting minutes from last meeting, February 23rd. Need a motion? Motion approved.
Have a second. Check what's that.
All in favor? Or, yeah. Say aye.
Aye.
Okay, old business, committee responsibility checklist.
May I have the floor, please? I'll go through it.
What's that?
Mind if I have the floor?
Yep,
Darwin?
go ahead.
The operating budget, approved and recommended for board approval, that happens in the fall, so we've already done that for this year. Financial reports reviewed periodically by the board. Darwin meets with the management team before these meetings. So that checked on. Procurement policy has not been adjusted, so that is adopted and maintained. Same with the investment policy. We don't have an investment. I think it's a clause in one of our other policies, but we don't do investments. Financial reporting procedures ensure accuracy and completeness. That's a check. Annual report prepared, check. Financial report prepared for Paris submission. That is the presentation we have at 9:30, so that's complete. Procurement report is in the annual report on like page 17 or something, I think. So that came in, that was not in, so the procurement report was not in the draft I sent you Friday, but it was in the draft I sent you yesterday, I think it was. All mushes in together, so if anyone didn't see it Sunday, I'm going to take a chance right now to look at that procurement report at the end of towards the end of the annual report. Paris filings reviewed to ensure submission deadlines are met. So Paris filings I do after this meeting. I'll make sure everything's approved by you guys, and then I'll go into the Paris reporting system online and plug all that in. And financial management practices and safeguard authority assets, that's why we get the internal audit. So that covers everything for finance in the Paris, annually for Paris. nothing needs to be resolved from the checklist. We just need a committee charter updated without corrections or changes, alterations within language.
So you need a motion?
Yeah.
Need a motion to accept the financial committee checklist as reported?
I'll make the motion, Bob. That'll second.
Any discussion, questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Committee charter,
Just need a motion, right?
Yeah, it's unaltered, unchanged from last year.
need a motion?
So moved, to accept the committee charter as.
Second?
Dave,
Any discussion? Those in favor? Opposed? So moved. 2025 ACLBC annual report. Everybody's had a chance to look at it, at the drafts. I think they're pretty much the same, right? You haven't changed anything?
Yep.
Need a motion to accept the annual report?
motion by Dave,
Need a second?
Bob will.
Any discussion about the annual report? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Next meeting?
Next meeting will have to be in the fall for the budget process. I'm thinking September, early September. I don't, you can come up with a date later. September 2026.
Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Ed.
Need a second?
Bob. Second.
Any discussion about adjournment? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We're dismissed.
Was that 13?
9/12.
9/12. Who was those, who did the adjournment? I'm sorry, I was just.
I did, Ed, sorry, Ed with an E. Will do. Thanks for clearing that up. One or two Ds. What I tell you?
A-E-D.
All right, good.
Need governance now?
Dave's in charge.
What you gave me, when I scraped up over there.
We got the biggest list.
This is the thickest one.
You need a governance?
The chairman needs it.
You want mine? I
Yeah.
don't have all the other pages in there.
Do you have a packet for chair?
I got it. There should be. Is there any over there?
There's this one.
No, to the
I'm not on the committee, so I don't need it. Here you go, Dave.
committee governance. Yeah, governance committee.
But I didn't have the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's over there.
Everyone's had one?
We're better, yep, okay, the governance committee will come to order at 9:12.
13, sorry. Correct you, but one adjourned at 12, we usually go to the next meeting.
Oh, and I didn't have time to get them. Review the minutes from the February 23rd meeting. I make a motion to approve.
Oh, is that good? Never mind.
Brian with a Y, second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
Okay, the fourth. Governance committees, we'll start with the mission statement that is in the, that went unchanged this year because we changed it last year. This year we want to vote to modify that. That has been changed. It's in the annual report. Performance goals, there's a performance measurements report in the packet, but and we'll get to the actual policy about that later in the agenda. Board has reviewed annual performance measures and results in the annual report. Board meeting minutes are maintained and approved. Those are online and archived online also. You can tell me to slow down. I know I talk a lot, but I talk fast, so that's how we get.
Keep up the pace, it's good.
All right. Board member attendance is documented. That is through our minutes. Board members are completed to required fiduciary training that everyone took that when they came on. ABO training, I believe that's the same thing. Annual board member fiduciary disclosure statements have been submitted. You've all given me those this year. Board roster of members information are current in Paris. That is correct, I've updated those. Code of ethics policies has been adopted a couple years ago. We have not changed it and it has been maintained, so check. Conflict of interest policy, the same. Next, whistleblower, the same. Records retention policy, we do not have a records retention policy. That's my goal for this year is we're going to get an accurate records retention policy. We've never really had one. Besides the throw it in the basement here, it's kind of what we did, throw it in the bank box and put it in the basement. So we're going to try to shine that up a little bit. So this one will not be checking off. It's not a Paris requirement. It will not get us a deficiency. I don't think. And next is the property disposition policy. We have that. It has not been changed. Performance measurement policy is in the packet. We're going to discuss that here in a little bit. Column 2, inventory records are maintained and regularly updated. The real property report at the back of the annual report is evident of that. Property acquisition conducted in accordance with adopted policies. We have a policy for that. Property disposition conducted in accordance with property disposition policy. We have. Demolition, rehab, and redevelopment project reviewed by the board. We can't see a world where we could get around that. Property activities, acquisition, demos, disposition reported periodically to the board, monthly and in between. Inventory management practices ensure properties are effectively moving towards redevelopment and disposition. We don't have any properties, that's saying we don't have any properties that we just don't do anything with. Even 172 and 178, which has just been sitting there for years, I regularly email the town or talk to people who are interested in it. So nothing is sitting idle and out of our attention. Performance goals and indicators are clearly defined. Subjective statement. Performance measurement methodology has been established. That's in the policy that's the appendix of the policy that we'll be talking about later. Performance results reviewed annually by the board, doing it right now. Performance metrics aligned with the authority's missions and programs. Supporting data and documentation for performance metrics are maintained. Part of policy coming up. Performance measurements report completed, 4 pairs reported. That's in the annual report. Real property report is the last report in the annual report. So you notice there was several things about performance metrics and performance policy and performance goals. This is something else we're going to be leaning towards. Now that I'm staffed up, I can put attention to these little things outside of just bricks and mortar work that we do. So we'll talk about that later thing, but that's why I made sure that we have a policy draft today that we can move forward. So because we kind of should have had this before. Before our policy was, I would just go through and look what we did for the year and then say, let's do the same thing at least next year. It was very loose, so we're going to add some structure to that. And that's all I have for the checklist. The committee charter for this committee has not changed either.
Do you need resolutions for those 2 items?
Definitely for the committee charter, the checklist, that's up to the chairman. It's going to be certified as the annual report, so how we're going to do it.
Well, the chairman thinks that the checklist stands for itself, so I would entertain a motion to renew our charter.
Brian with a Y.
Need a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
Sorry, the next item is, I I forgot to erase it from the cut. This is not for this committee, so item 4 can be struck from the agenda. We just did that in the audit committee.
Just A or all of those?
Just A, just new business A. I accidentally left that on from I cut and pasted it from the audit committee.
So there's no motion on that one either?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, these next two we have to do, or have we done?
Yeah, so the performance measurements policy was sent out. It's also in the packet for this committee. I sent it to our attorney to review, and we had a little bit of discussion. Did you have anything you want to comment on it? Or talk to-
Yeah, I looked at 2 other ones I've done before now. One, the other 2 had to do with corporation. This is more internal, as you and I spoke about. I'd love to have a little more time to tweak it if it needs it, because I just got it. So if that's possible.
Yeah, are you okay with us approving it with any corrections from your advice?
Sure.
Then that'll save us letting this thing drift away.
That's fine. We can review it mid-year too.
Right, but if we pass this today, then when I enter everything into Paris, I get to say, yes, we do have a policy.
I get that, but I'm just saying that
I'll review it and
if
change
he
it.
comes
Yeah.
back in 2 months.
Right.
there's
Yeah, we
nothing
can
to
approve it as written and then we can adjust it at the next committee meeting.
Yeah, so either way, thanks, Chris.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the performance measurements policy?
I'll make that motion. Kier with a K.
I thought it was here with an H.
How about a second?
Brian,
With a Y.
With a P.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Nobody with a K.
Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. Can I get a motion to approve the 2025 ACLBC annual report?
Bob will make the motion.
Need a second?
Kier will make the motion, or second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion is approved. Next meeting will be
Beginning of 2027.
I make a motion to adjourn.
second, Pete, Brian with a Y.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
9:23.
Knocked him out. Everyone that was great.
Okay, call the regular board meeting to order at 9:23. Let the agenda note that we have 2 other guests, Ashley Smith and Matthew Rosenbaum. I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of 2 guests.
So moved. Ed.
Second,
Darwin,
any other additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. We have the minutes from the February 23rd meeting. Do we have any additions, deletions, corrections? I hear none. The motion to approve?
I'll make it, Darwin.
Dar. Second?
Brian with a Y.
Brian? Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Can we, I'm sorry, can we hold off on the treasury report? The auditor's about to be here.
That's good.
He's in either new business A or A, I don't know. He did the first thing in new business. He should be walking anytime. I don't want to get started with the treasury report.
Do you want to do funding then? You said it's.
Yeah, you're gonna do it, any portion you want. So yeah, funding the land bank initiative, we're spending that down pretty well, which you'll see in the treasurer's report. And then item B for funding cross mod move in New York, we have not heard back, but it's been submitted.
Do we have an anticipated
No, I mean, we handed it in a month late, they gave us a month grace period, so I don't wanna be like, send it 4 days later, be like, where's that? But I was thinking about it while I was driving yesterday, that I've been thinking negatively about it because it's such a big ask. We're asking for all these houses, plus we're asking for another 3 million to build a road to get to these houses. And so I kind of, in my mind, was like, this is gonna be a no-go. They're gonna be no, but then it'll give us at least a goal to how do we find funds to get this road and move it for the next cycle. But then I was thinking yesterday, they might say, we'll give you all of it minus the road, and we might be able to hit the money. They might actually let us move on this round, this cycle, but probably not with all that money. So I'm gonna start reaching out to the town of Candia and seeing if what they can do to help us bring that road to fruition if we get awarded. Because they have quite a bit of tax base.
I have a lengthy conversation about the road when we get to it.
Okay. But they're gonna be getting they're getting 10 houses, brand new houses into their tax base. That should be worth something to them, besides the plowing and, snow removal and maintenance that they would have to undertake once it becomes a public road. So.
Dar, right now is a good time. We're talking about it.
Okay.
Not on the agenda later, right?
Yeah,
So the intention is to have it be a town road?
Eventually, yeah.
Okay. Several years ago, town of Wellsville had a need to put a new road to their airport. And this was before I got on the board, so some of this is hearsay, but the results was the same. But they had an agreement with the county where the county actually designed the road and built the road. And then the town took it over after the fact. So, and I don't know what the financial, if there was any financial part of it, but I don't believe there was. I think the county just did it. The county looked at it from the standpoint, so I was told that it was good experience for their engineers. And they were looking forward to doing it. So, it might behoove us to have some conversation with the county. I don't know who at the county.
Well, I suppose, sorry, but when we were looking for the road design, we reached out to the county, the new engineer they just hired, and said, hey, we want your assistance in this, and it's kind of like, go get DOT specs, and they just.
We asked them for the road design.
I knew I'm busy.
They would expect.
I knew I'm busy, don't bother me, that's not, that's terrible for me to say that on the record.
It was fairly close.
It was like, but maybe more specific.
Maybe we don't
question.
need to talk to the engineer, but we need to talk higher.
Just higher.
The engineer's boss.
The conversation,
That'd be awesome.
I'm sure the conversation at the time the town did it, and it's a little different. I mean, it's economic development for the airport, and theoretically it is for the housing. But the other part of it is, the town of Wellsville has a law on the books that the highway superintendent has to approve any new roads or major rebuilds. I don't know whether Canada has such a law.
Most do, yeah.
Most of them do. So,
And for the record, I gotta say this, I was talking about the town superintendent when I just said that, actually. He was the one that was dismissive towards us, not the engineer, for the record. Not the county engineer, I was mistaken in my head, I just wanted to put that there. Go ahead.
but anyway, so I'm relatively sure that the town started the conversations with the area representatives for that district. And it went from there. But again, as I say, that I don't know what that interfacing actually took place before I got on the board. But the end result was, we got a major, I mean, it's gotta be 3/10 of a mile
Yeah,
at least.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, they did all the construction work, all the engineering work, and the town just had to take over the final blacktopping of it and the maintenance.
Just
of
the
it.
top coat of the blacktop?
Well, they had
The
a spec that ended up the town didn't follow, but the end result was the same. But, so,
Thanks for that, that's a good pathway, because that is the biggest lift on this whole thing. If we had a road, if there was already a road there, or we would have been a shoe-in for this, it seems like, but.
yeah.
Hey, question for you, on the move-in, is there a timeline, right? Isn't it like you have to complete
They
that?
want, a year, they want
A year, okay, and so is there a criteria for the road? Or is
yeah,
that-
we have the road design, we have the road spec, we have,
No, would it have to be complete, or do they not?
Oh, just and the road has to be, doesn't have to be totally finished, the road has to be good enough for them to get the trailers in there to drop the houses.
So roughed in would be fine?
As long as
As
it's
long as they can
sufficient.
take the load, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the CFA is gonna open the pro-housing funding again,
Yeah,
and that is for infrastructure.
that's July.
That is road, water, like sewer,
Yeah,
it
that'd be
doesn't matter.
perfect. That'd be
It's
perfect,
private
yeah.
or public, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
And so that grant is specifically for those items.
One of those
Right.
funds distributed.
I'm not sure,
We'll pull
that's
the
the
chair
only
next
thing.
to you for.
But I can look into it, so. But is it a year from award?
Yeah, I mean, they were kind of loose, but they said that's the goal, it's not like you're gonna join this project, but, yeah, I think a year, so because, so, we have 3 other ones going in other municipalities, we have 2 we're aiming for Wells, or 2 in Whitesville, 1 in Wellsville. We figured, well, we can start placing those, because they can only make them in the factory one a week. So once it's manufactured, they wanna get it out of there and place it, and then there's some time where it sits. So we have all the regular prep time and lead
Right.
time, but then we go focus, well, the road is being built, we focus on those, and try to coordinate it that way.
So I'm just saying, there's other options, other
Yeah.
than spend $2.5 to $3 million dollars.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that would be ideal, because I don't think they're gonna give us that money for that, they might give us 500K.
We may be wrong, maybe they turn around and say, hey, here's the money for it. You know, we understand what you're doing, but
It would bring the price up per house to over $300,000 for half of their cost. And we know we're not gonna sell
3 more.
So they would be eating a lot, but they could.
I will
There's
share
something
the
I
grant.
can
share with Ryan if I do that.
Yeah, when does the CFA open? July?
No.
It's due
it'll-
July.
June,
Yeah,
July.
it usually opens like at
Oh, I
night.
didn't.
Yeah, I said July, but it's June, July.
And then
We're gonna
award
share
of
it.
condos by the end of the year.
That's good.
But it's usually in the next fiscal year cycle. Which, it's still be time, at least get it right.
And so, and then the county would, we'd be the sub-recipient, the county would apply
No,
for
it
it,
would be the town,
the town?
yes, and they are pro-housing certified, so they, all the criteria are
Yeah,
met.
yeah, so that's good. Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to the town supervisor, just to keep them abreast of the situation anyway, so I'll talk to you first, so I can give them good information.
All right, we'll move on to the annual report. Advice, I think everybody.
Oh, we have some new members.
That's right. We have,
We'll do a quick one.
Brad Watson is our new development coordinator here. Ashley Smith is Allegheny County Economic Development, and Matthew Rosenbaum is our new attorney.
Okay, very good. Well, good morning, everybody.
Hi.
Good to see you back
See you.
again. Nice to meet some new faces. We do this annual presentation of the audit report traditionally at this March meeting. And so I'm going to take you through the report as per usual, give you the highlights, talk about how the audit went, where the land bank stands financially through the end of December. And as I move through the report, feel free to interrupt and fire away with questions. First thing I'll do, before we jump into anything in particular, I guess if you want to go to a particular page, you could go to the very end of the bound report, and I'll address what I think is the most important part of this entire presentation, and that is the status of last year's audit finding. So over the past couple of years, we've had a finding in our report with respect to essentially the land bank not properly accounting for its cost of sales expenses and essentially not following its own policy. We've done a lot of work this past year to improve the land bank's internal controls over financial reporting, and I'm happy to report that this year's report no longer reflects that finding. Now, you're going to see reference to it. On that very last page, there's this summary schedule of prior audit findings, and that's how these work. When there's a deficiency or a weakness in your internal controls, and it's no longer relevant, you don't have it listed with the current year audit findings, there aren't any, but you still see reference to it in a previous year's report. So next year, assuming things continue to go well, that finding will remove itself from the report, and there will no longer be any reference to it. It'll become a distant memory. So I think it's the single most important takeaway from this presentation. All of the time and money that you've invested into improving your internal controls over financial reporting was, in my opinion, well worth it. So clean audit report, no findings in the current year's report. Take a look at some of the numbers now. So if you go all the way back let's meet on page number 3. You'll see the page number in the upper right-hand corner. And let's briefly check out your statements of financial position. The balance sheet of the land bank, it's pretty basic, really. You've got some cash on deposit, you've got the money invested in the properties held for sale, a little bit of funding liabilities are concerned. I'll take you from the top down. You're sitting on just over $105,000 in cash at the end of the year, which, as compared with the previous year, is actually down a little bit. Yet, you're going to see on the next page that the land bank is reporting a big surplus of revenues over expenses. The reason for cash flow not mirroring your actual earnings is you plowed so much of that available cash and grant funding into the properties that you have for sale. So you see that number reflected in the very next line down. Got over $700,000 in. And so what that number encompasses is the original acquisition cost of the properties that you own, any demolition, rehab, stabilization, any pre-development costs. So on any properties that the land bank owns as of that date, that's what you have invested into it. I think that's an all-time high, at least in terms of the years that we've been the auditor for the organization. It's a big number, which reflects the fact that you had a lot of activity this past year. Moving down from there, accounts payable relatively minimal. The land bank typically doesn't have a lot of unpaid bills at the end of the year. Last year was higher than normal because that $21,000 includes $15,000 for technical assistance that we accrued at the end of the year. This year, there were some minor bills for pre-development costs, but nothing all that significant. And then the next line down from there, that were fundable advances of just over $18,000. What that represents is grant funding that was received, but not yet spent down by the end of the year. It's available for carryover. You have it as part of what's on deposit, but until you actually spend that money, we include it there as a liability because you have an obligation to spend it. I think that's all land bank initiative money. And last but not least on this page, total net assets, which you can think of as almost like your fund balance or your equity, stands at $785. Compared with the previous year, that's up significantly because we had a big surplus this past year, and it's the next page that tells that story. So let's flip over to our statements of activities, which internally we might call a P&L or an income statement in the nonprofit world. We remove those references to profit, of course, but for all intents and purposes, it's the same. Revenues minus expenses. I'll start you off third line from the bottom. So that 359, almost 360,000, that is your surplus for the year. That's how much your total support and revenue exceeded your expenses. Why is that number so high if you're predominantly grant funded and the money coming in essentially goes out? It's because of what we saw on the previous page. You're plowing so much of that grant funding into your properties, they sit there on your balance sheets until you end up selling them. And it's at that point, it's a point of sale, that we reclassify all of those what we call capitalized costs, just the amounts that are sitting there on your balance sheet as an expense that we'll see more on the next page. And that, what I described right there, is essentially what you weren't doing correctly in previous years and why you had that audit finding. Question?
So we plow all this money into a property, we've got $200,000 that we sell for $20,000. What happens to the books? Where's that?
So in years in which your property held for sale balance decreases, so let's say 2026, you just had a fire sale of properties. Next year, we're looking at this report, and instead of showing 701,000, you've got 200,000 in there. I would expect that you would show a big deficit for the year, at least on paper.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
that number, it doesn't mean a whole lot. It's not like what looking at your net income or profit would be if this was a regular corporation. It's really just a barometer of where we're at. So back to our discussion here, we've got a ton of grant funding shown. 738,000, so at the top of page 4, that first line, again, I think all-time record. Now that includes mostly land bank initiative funding. I think phase 1 represented about 195 of that number. Phase 2 was 260,000, and it was just shy of 300,000 of capital funding, all embedded in that grant funding line. Property sales, represents the collective total of what you received on the properties that were sold this past year. They actually sold the same number of properties in 2025 as you did in 2024. I think 4 is the number. 2024's number, of course, is a lot higher because of the Clark Street property. So it was a high cost, high revenue generating property. It puffed up that property sale revenue number. It's also going to puff up the corresponding expense that we'll see on the next page.
That Clark Street was the only new build we've done, just for the record.
In fact, let's go there now. Flip over to page 5. This is a breakdown of your expenses. And there's a lot of numbers here, of course, because we do some allocation. Focus on just the total columns. The first one about halfway across the page represents total expenses for 2025. To the far right, expenses for 2024. And that first line item, that cost of sales, rehab, and maintenance, you can see is down a lot over the previous year. So again, it's at the point of sale that we recognize all of those costs associated with the properties that have been previously kept on your balance sheet. Primary driver behind that decrease there from last year is the Clark Street property. High income generating, also a high cost property. So at that point of sale, that really puffed up that cost of sales line. Moving on down from there, consultant costs, you can see it's up quite a bit over the previous year, represent the fees to fourth sector. Brought in Kate and John in the current year. Again, part of the attempt to really bolster the land bank's internal controls, in my opinion, worth every penny of those costs. Professional fees also up. Biggest driver there is legal fees associated with property sales. Secondary to that is increased accounting fees. So bringing Glenn on, cleaning up from the previous bookkeeper, there was some time and money associated with that. I think it's a good investment once again. From there on out, the only other one I'll mention specifically is the technical assistance line, basically cut in half and then some. That represents the subscription that you have for the mapping software that the land bank uses. I think it's a 15 grand a year subscription. Why so high last year? Well, you had 2 years worth. So both 2023 and 2024 are in the prior year number there. From there on out, I'm going to kind of move pretty quickly through the rest of the report. So I'm skipping over cash flows on page 6. We talked about anything pertinent to already. You get into pages 7, 8, 9, even on to 10, 11, and 12. These include our no disclosures. So we're required to give you brief descriptions of the official accounting rules used in the preparation of this report. Most of that is largely unchanged year to year. You get into pages 10 and 11, and this report on internal controls is missing something that was there in the previous years. The thing that's missing is a good thing. Last year we had that audit finding that was introduced here on this particular page and then spelled out more on that schedule of findings later on. So it's a clean report on your internal control. So that's, again, good news there. And then that pretty much takes us all the way back to the very end, which is where we started. I'll pause there before we move over to the management letter, which is the staple document that you have, just to see if anybody has any further questions, comments, thoughts.
Do you ever, I'm brand new, so I'm, planning our sea legs, but understanding your job is to do the audit for the Allegheny County Land Bank. Is there ever a time where you consult with other auditors from other land banks just to see if we're kind of, and I know that we're all different, there's larger volumes in different places, but just to see where we're at comparatively speaking?
Well, to answer your question in sort of a almost funny kind of way, yes, I consult with myself because we do audits in other land banks. But to give you a real answer.
How does that consultation with yourself go?
Quite positive, very reassuring.
That's nice. I get a raise every year.
But to give you a real answer to that, yeah, when we first started auditing land banks, I reviewed the audit reports of pretty much every other land bank in the state, just to get a sense of where the differences were, and there are some, because there's enough wiggle room in the accounting rules to allow for some different treatment, primarily of those costs that we're capitalizing on the properties. Some other land banks have a different take on how those costs should be treated, and so a lot of them find their way to your P&L quicker than what we have here, but both are within the rules that generally accepted accounting principles would allow.
Great, thank you.
Sure. Any other thoughts, questions? Then very briefly on the staple document. Again, it becomes almost much ado about nothing because this is a form where we spell out for internal purposes the nature of any audit findings, deficiencies, questionable costs. We made some good advances this past year, and for the first time in at least 3 years, you've got a clean bill of health. Both your financial statements are accurate and reliable, and your internal controls are functioning effectively as designed. The final page of this letter includes the summary page, if you will, of Form 990. Tax filing that all nonprofit entities make with the IRS. And I don't typically do a full-on review of the entire form. It's like 25 pages long, mainly because all of the numbers used in the preparation of this form that get communicated to the IRS come directly from those audited financial statements that we just reviewed. So I'll just give you one example. If you find line number 19 for the current year, that 359,877, that was that surplus that I mentioned when we were looking at page 4, your statement of activities and the other documents. So in years in which those properties held for sale, that balance goes up, you're going to show a big surplus because you're plowing all of that money into your balance sheet. But in years in which it goes down, that's probably going to flip to a deficit over time. It pretty much evens out.
Did you submit the 990 or is that through our accounting person?
I do submit the 990. So as soon as you authorize it, I'll e-file it with the IRS, and that'll be one less regulatory requirement that you need to worry about.
And that's built into our annual
That's
fee?
built in.
That's good.
Do you have you want me to sign any of them, or do you have one for me to sign, or do I not need to?
Really don't need to sign for my purposes. Now, I'd recommend that you keep a signed copy on file somewhere, but I don't need one back. I just need, there's a one-page document that authorizes me to e-file it on your behalf. That's the only thing that I need to have come back to me. And that's it for my comments. So, happy to report good news from an audit perspective this year. I know there's a lot of back and forth over the past couple of years trying to understand the nature of that finding. And again, I keep coming back to saying that what was invested into improving your internal controls was well worth it.
Mr. Secretary. Thank Kate and Jason for that.
No, Jason does a lot of
That's all that.
heavy lifting on that. So we need a motion that'll cover approving the audit.
This is the one on, is this the one you wrote for?
Yeah, but there's
Item
that,
10.
yep, I did not, we should probably add to that, to approve the 990 for Brian's signature and pay his invoice, so then he doesn't have to wait till they get the invoice at the end of the meeting.
So let's approve that separate. The 2025 independent audit is presented by Ed Dysick. A motion to approve.
Brian with the line.
Second.
Ed?
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then I need a motion to approve the submission of the 990 and pay the invoice for Ed Dysick's work for the audit.
I'll make that motion.
Second, Will. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Quick and painless.
Okay, that was easy. All right, everybody. Good to see all of you. Nice to meet the new faces, and we'll see you next year, same time, same place.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, we're gonna back up to the treasurer's report.
I have copies here, I don't know that everyone got them,
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks,
Yeah, thanks.
In the part of hear this, the owl never found Ed the entire time he was speaking.
It never, camera never went?
It never
He was in the ignore zone.
Yeah, the TV's the ignore zone
He
area.
put the TV in the ignore zone, I know, I didn't wanna mess with the settings while I was.
I was like,
trying to
he's been talking all this time, but it never went to the deep.
Yeah, we put on the TV so that when somebody's talking and we're talking, it doesn't capture all that, everything. Doesn't use that as another screen up there and do the
You got extras, Kater?
forever look.
I didn't.
Okay, thank you. I'll see. I'll probably be in touch tomorrow.
Anybody else missing one?
I don't know. Maybe
Side comment,
we'll-
somebody comes into a meeting in the middle like that, you would do well to advise them.
I didn't have that.
On the recording, so we are live.
All the committees.
So that they're aware. Everybody in the room.
Yeah.
Somebody comes in the middle.
Yeah.
Good
Thanks for
point.
stopping.
Everybody.
Thanks, take care.
All right. Darwin.
Yep.
Come on.
Jason?
Yes, like I said, this is gonna be one of the last months we have this format, we're gonna change the format. But we're standing good with money, our projects are rolling, we got money coming in, and we got money going out. We're getting used to doing the new policy of transferring money. You signed today the transfer, we've been covering money with the general fund, paying it back when the funds come in. We'll start with the phase 2 money, which is our it's coming up due the soonest. We gotta spend this out. What was our spend out date, do you remember? We had May? Oh, okay. Yeah, so we gotta spend this out by May. This money is going towards the Grover Street project, I believe. We have some demos. We have a plan to spend it out. We just gotta get the work done on there. We're sitting at 101,000 to spend, but we have we have 42 in cash, right? So we have 42 in cash to spend down on that before we even request. So we've gotta get some projects moving with that money. And the next page is the $1 million 2.2 capital budget. A lot of this money is earmarked to be spent, but we are delayed in some projects because of the phase 2s that we're waiting for in Friendship. What was the other stuff? DEC hiccups, and but we have almost, how much do we have? I can have stuff in my head, sorry, didn't sleep much this time.
So you're waiting on environmentals for this?
For environmentals for a couple things, and also for just contracts to go through. I can't remember off the top of my head what project, I'm sorry, I'm scattered around there.
It's the friendship
For the friendship
mothballing, which is a
Mothballing.
huge chunk of it.
That's like a quarter.
Almost 300,000 of it.
Yeah, it's almost 300,000 for the mothballing, which is held up by the phase 2, phase 2 environmentals, which with the boring in the basement and the ground penetrating the radar.
Do we have, we'll talk about the other infrastructure.
Well, 15 Second Street has started, and that's a $307,000 contract that just got started, so that we paid 78 for the first draw, and the next draw will be about 107, I think.
Do we have to spend this out by May also?
No, this May also. Yeah, okay, I thought it was June. Okay, thanks, but we get an extension, but this is sooner the better. So we're gonna try to get this all committed.
This is what we're waiting on, the
Once
2
this is
million.
spent out, 2 million becomes available. Any questions on that one?
Can we do it by May?
Yeah.
Right.
We can have it committed, we probably won't have the money in the bank to spend, but we'll have it committed and under contract. We can get it under contract, that's the goal, under contract by May. And,
There's only like 100, we have a RFP out for Grover, which will commit the rest of the money.
Okay.
So that's all that's,
yeah,
there's only like
And
120,000.
that's all they need is a commitment, not a completion?
correct.
Yeah, they need to know the money's dedicated.
They're gonna award us the money if we commit, but they will not send us any money to where all spent, but at least we'll get the process moving.
I think Kier's question is about spending it out by May.
No.
We have plans to have a conversation with HCR
Yeah, we've,
about
multiple land banks have extended this money, we've never asked for an extension, so it's our first one, I think it's an easy thing to get,
But it's holding up our next application,
which has been submitted and approved.
and they'll let us apply if it's committed.
Yeah, they'll award it to us so we can start doing the documentation and start hiring people based on it, but they won't send us any money from it until the other one is totally gone to make it easier.
Okay, moving on.
I'm gonna pass the cake for the general fund because my brain's not working. That's more complex.
So for the general fund, the top, this is not in color, my apologies, I don't have.
We skipped LBI, is that?
LBI operations,
Oh, sorry, I know that. Case in point.
thank you, Brian. Okay, so for operations, we have, there's only $9,000 left to draw on that, but we are covered through advance. This is one where we're able to request the advance money with an invoice for like the fourth sector bill, which is the largest cost on this. That is through end of June. So we have July and August that we are hoping that we have either the 2 million has come through at that point, or we're gonna have a conversation with HDR about, we had this conversation with Darwin the other day. They adjusted everybody and it lost, to put everyone on the same schedule with the operations, we lost a month, so like 20 days of funding. So they're aware of that, and I think they're willing to work with us on that. There's also an additional, they only awarded us $195,000, and we could have gotten 200. So we're gonna have that conversation too. Jason and I have planned, now that we're getting through, as soon as he gets done with Paris, we're gonna have a conversation with HCR about all of our different grant questions and how we can make the money stretch as far as possible.
Just out of curiosity, when you have the meetings with them, are they Zoom, just a phone call? Zoom?
Yeah.
And that's, a single person or is it?
It's a single person right now. She did have a team for a minute, but apparently that other person left, I just found out. So that's the other thing with Crystal is, she's probably been mentioned before in the meetings, but she's our main point of contact. She's really helpful. She's underwater though.
All our financial, our environmental, everything goes through the grant application, the grant submittals, she's for all land banks, so. But we're not the only land bank in this boat of running out of admin money because of that shift. It doesn't put us in any risky situation because we have other money to tap into, which isn't ideal to go into the general fund. But that would be like the second choice. First, we would go into, we have program delivery. There's other means, so it's, next month we'll report back on that. We'll talk to her about that.
Okay.
And have a better answer for this question.
So that's it for operations, and then for general fund. So we have, we're talking about this in terms of two buckets. The top bucket, the 138,862 is what we're calling our reserves. So that's our backup cash for cash flow purposes. The money below is what we've committed as part of our grant applications as our match essentially. So we are, every month trying to spend that down through the end of these grants to show that we're meeting our part of the commitment. So we have $20,000 left to spend for the phase 2 and capital, that's combined. We had committed 100,000 total across both of those grants. So we're doing well there. And
Just real quick, so then the number on the top right corner, once the 50K that we put towards from the last grant, when we spend that out, we get the next grant, 50,000 will come out of that reserve money into that account and start spending out of that as our match for that grant. And we'll keep building up there.
Good. Have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved, Deb.
Second?
Dave,
Dave, any other discussion, questions? All in favor?
Mike,
Opposed?
I look forward to seeing a new format.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's no worse than this one.
Don't think it comes.
All right, we did the funding. We'll move right through to infrastructure. We have a board of directors report somewhere? It's in there. There it is.
Okay, let's walk right through all of them. Houghton, Fair Street, Houghton, no updates. Bolivar Student Trust, no updates. The church in Cuba, is this worth keeping on our agenda? Because we,
Probably not.
okay, because I was about to say, since we've talked, we spent all the money that I said we might have.
I don't think the EDO is in any place to even move forward with a physical space right now, so.
Yeah, so that one will be being removed off our list going forward. Almond is on hold. Second Street has building permits have been received, contracts executed, initial payments made, they're making some ground, they're discovering some things that the architect missed. He can't measure stuff under floors and stuff like that, so as they have been their first day on the site, finding some things under the floors that might need a change order. That will be presented next month if need be, and that works with we'll work with the architect for that. That project started March 3rd, and it's 120 days, so July 1st is our end date target on that. Grover Street, the RFP was released for mechanicals only. This is, I actually released it for the whole project, but we're just going to pull the mechanicals out, so we have this money for that, but then we will have a quote we'll have a price on the rest of the project, and then we can go forward from there. We can either accept that bid and see if that contractor wants to wait and start working on mechanicals, or we'll just have to play it by ear once we get to that point. But I did submit the RFP for the whole rehab project to make sure that we can get numbers.
We'll have that for the next meeting?
Yes, those bids are due April 15th. And our board meets on the 20th. No updates on the lots in Wellsville, 4 to 6. I wish you would have stayed just for this, I'm sitting here. So I have a meeting with Matt and another attorney from his agency tomorrow afternoon. If anybody wants to jump on that call, Brian, if you want to jump on that call, I'll send you that'll be just a call, so I'll send you the number. But they've reviewed the transfers. We closed on one, but for 4 to 6 Main, we're ready to just push that across the finish line. So we're just waiting on just standard documents. The attorney that he's been working with did note that he's very confused why some of the stuff didn't close. Some of them are right there, all the paperwork's there, maybe need one little thing. Some of these, he said, could have closed in October, they just didn't, and he doesn't know why, so that's why they want to meet with me to talk about why these might not have closed in October.
This is 2 and 4/6?
This would be, 2, 4, 12, yes. 2, 4, 6, yeah. 2 later in the package, and
No, you got 2 before 4/6, actually, the diner.
On that list, but on his report.
yeah, they got jumbled, sorry, we'll fix that too, I will. Yeah, and so we're under contract with West Side Construction on 4 to 6, then we're just waiting for those, phase 2 environmentals. 8 Main Street, the feasibility study has begun, but I don't have an update on that for the feasibility study, but we'll hopefully have one hopefully next month.
Who's doing that?
Clinton Brown. Because he did the one for the next door, the other one next door, so hopefully they dovetail to one another, because we want to sell that product 2, 4, 6, and 8 all in one chunk, so using the same architect's going to help us hopefully get that goal. 63 Seneca, Brad has submitted the final paperwork to the DEC for the wetlands permits. They required sill tubes or drainage control to be put around, did I skip one? Oh, sorry, my bad. 12 Depot, this morning, the asbestos report came in. I didn't even open it. I was in a hurry, but so the asbestos report's back for 12. We know that the siding's gonna come up hot. We're gonna just combine the remediation of that with the adjacent building, 4 to 6 Depot, when we do the fire burnout. Where other than that, there's no update on 12 Depot.
When do you anticipate an RFP on that?
May. because we gotta wait till the phase two, because stuff happens in April. The phase two environmentals, it happened in April. And I also have to talk to HCR about how they can help us get through this order of operations, because they need soil samples from the floor of that basement in that, but it's all covered in debris. We can't get asbestos permits till we get those testings. We can't get the testings until we get asbestos permits. We saw a little problem we gotta figure out. There's probably a way, maybe through emergency, some kind of emergency paperwork for emergency procedure. But 63, Seneca, Brett's got the DEC sign-offs on that. Later in the agenda, you'll see a change order that we had to put in to get the contractor to put the silt screens around the property, and they have to be there because we're adjacent to a wetland. Those have to stay there, so he's not pulling them. He's going to demo the property and leave those in place. So when we build there, they're already there, and the other contractor can just move them around. Moving on to 6 and 7, those require also Article 24 DEC wetlands permits to build in development in adjacent to a wetland. That has begun. Just going through the process with that. It's a little different because there's septic on site. 111 Main Street in Bolivar. We had approved to sell that sliver to the village. Brad and I met with Brian with a Y, who had already spoke to the DOT about this. So we're going to try to another order of operations. Who does what? We got to get the DOT is going to prescribe where the sign would go, and based on the dimension of the sign, then they'll give GPS coordinates and it'll be deeded. This sign will end up being deeded to the DOT specs. And if they sign off on that, then the village will want it. They don't want to get something and then just not be able to sign there anyways, now they're stuck with it. But we did I just marked up the land survey for that and put a little dotted line to give to Jim Ball, and this will give the village the land they want for the sign, and it'll get the well, that open well off of that property, off of our property, to parcel that off.
Okay.
46 Depot, I briefly talked about that, how we have to figure out how to do the environmental testings on that to get those soil samples. Other than that, it's boarded up, it's sitting there.
It's closed, they signed last week.
Yes, and that one closed. That's the one that Brian just closed on the 10th, I believe. So we can move forward with whatever we can now that we've closed. We're gonna see what we can do with that property. And hopefully start a cleanup plan next month, which won't be executed till the summer, but we can start the plan now. The antique barn, this closing should be relatively simple. Everything's in, we just need the seller's attorney to sign off, and they were on vacation, so that's just a time thing. No work needed for that. And we applied for a $2,500 grant from the Area Foundation, which we're waiting to hear from. Spoke about that last one. The diner, 2 Wayne Street, we briefly talked about that. We got the gas is in our name, in our account. We got an account number for RG&E, we will see later in the agenda. They need some money to turn that over to them. I think because of, they require a deposit, plus there's outstanding bills from the previous tenants, so we gotta clear those up. And the hardware, I have no updates about that, we're still doing some research on that.
Can I ask you, I know you mentioned on 2, 4, 6, and 8, your desire is to sell them collectively?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the timeline?
Next summer.
Hey Jason, I got a question about 31 Grover.
Yes, sir.
It says bids are to be open before the April board meeting. Is that, are those something we have to open at the meeting?
No, you can open, they just gotta be opened and recorded, they record the opening. They're due the 15th, probably, even though we don't have to, I probably still will bring them and open them here, but they're not gonna be like received that day.
Okay, all right.
So we probably will still open them there, unless anybody wants to meet on the 15th and open them as a separate event. So we'll.
No, it's just the way it worded that they need to be open before the meeting tonight.
Wow, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting RFP because it's it's listed as historical renovation, so, it'd be interesting to see if any, experts in historical renovation actually apply, or if we just get regular general contractors. I think we should weigh that heavily. The expertise would be heavily weighed on this, even if it's not the low bid. This would be one of those things where we don't have to take the low bid, because this is a more nuanced approach to renovation. We have to have someone who respects the process, because if they get in there and they start damaging stuff, that's gonna cost us tax credit money. 50 cents on the dollar they could be destroying by getting rid of the crown molding or something like that.
So, guess we're done with that, you can go to your executive report.
Yeah, we did a monthly report. The Move in New York grant has been submitted. We closed on Depot Street. The 15-second rehab is underway. We hit the ground running with that. Did I miss something?
Did you skip
Yeah, we missed a couple things.
housing study in brownfield?
Oh, I got my,
We got too many piles going.
yeah, I screwed up with the looking at,
6 and 7 you skipped.
I was just gonna let that fly.
No, you weren't.
6, there, okay, now I'm up to speed, got it, housing study.
So there's 2 forums coming up for public feedback. Here, do you want to talk about that? I meant to write the places on as a note to talk about it. I can't remember which ones.
The public ones are, March 24th is at the Elman Municipal Building, and the 25th is at the Palmer Opera House. There are actually stakeholder meetings both those days during the day that invites it out to particular people for those, representing certain areas of expertise. So like school districts, all the principals were invited to one of those stakeholders, and the town supervisors were invited to one. Hospitals were invited to a different one, so on and so forth. So there's 6 meetings going on in 2 days. So don't ask me to do anything those days. Hopefully that'll yield a lot of good comment, and people will show. That's always the problem with these public sessions. When the strategic plan for economic development was done, the outreach was weak, and so some of the meetings only had 3 people show up, and it was fairly worth having gone all the way to wherever for those. So we're hoping for a totally different.
What time were the almond and the public ones that I have here, Palmer?
6 o'clock.
6 both, I thought.
Yeah. So whatever's closer to you or works better for your schedule, those are general sessions where, I've been spamming the world trying to get people to come to those. Hopefully we'll get a good turnout at each one. We decided to break the county up a different way. Quite often we do north-south, but decided we'll do east-west this time.
Okay, brownfields.
Still got this phase 2 site. Environmental work is scheduled. That's all I have for that. That's in April. That'll happen in April. I don't have a specific date yet.
Back to report.
Yes, 8.
I stopped at goals for next month. That demo at 63 Seneca, we're gonna get that on the ground and get them paid, but again, we had that change order.
What was the change order?
It's later in the agenda.
It's later in the agenda. It's for the silt tubing that I mentioned in the board report. And this, I made a mistake on the next one. It should be to select the RFP Grover Rehab contractor, not release it. And our goal is to close on all opened transfers. It's a big goal, but it seems pretty doable since some of them should have been closing last year in August. Some of them were under contract since July. So I think we got that. I think we're ready to put those across the finish line. The new agency is a big agency. The guy, the real estate, their real estate specialist is out of Brooklyn, and I've been talking with him. He's giving me some education on how to make this stuff go along there. So it's a learning process, and they're putting a lot of attention to it. And so glad that Matt Rosenbaum moved to the area and doing that. It's not even just for us. I think a lot of people in the county are thankful that they have attorneys that are a big agency that you can get somebody to respond and get work going, answer your questions and all the things that you need from lawyers. And HCR approvals, we talked about a lot of them. We need approvals on to move money around. We need approvals for the DEC stuff. We need environmental, but we'll chip away at it all. Nothing unattainable.
Old business.
I never checked to confirm what I had read online that the tax sale is July 7th. Has anybody from downtown heard if that is true? Is there about it?
Haven't heard anything.
Okay, well, I'll follow up. I dropped the ball on that one to follow up, but
That was because they had saved the space on that website, is that?
yeah, the auction.
The only thing you have.
Yeah, the auctioneers are posting that there's an auction on the 7th.
10 Main.
10 Main was tabled last. I don't think we need to take it off the table this time. And then the 2 Main Street utilities, I briefly talked about that the gas is on and in our name, but the electric needs, what was the price? The $1,065?
$1,065, they required as a deposit because of policies and procedures is what.
Because we never had an account
For the electric.
And I think that, and
Is that so we can move it over to 4-6?
Well, so we could get it turned on. Right now, they gave us an account number on the Allegheny County Land Bank. But to get it actually switched over to our name, the service actually being billed to us, we have to give them a $1,065 deposit that's good for 3 years, and depending on how you pay your bills, it could be credited earlier. I explained to her exactly what the Allegheny County Land Bank was and so forth, and asked if there was someone that took care of non-profits, because obviously we're not the first person in our genie's collective business, I would think, to need electric service.
Right.
It was offshore customer service, so it was a little difficult, but it was pretty thorough. At the end of it, they were supposed to email Jason an invoice, because normally it's snail mail, and I said, in preparation of all this, several days to get through, could you, have the ability to send a PDF, a Word document, maybe the local office could print it and I could drive. Belmont isn't there.
If you have an account number, you might be able to create an online account with it, having the PDF there.
We might be able to.
maybe, but it's not a bill, it's an invoice. Yeah, we can
No,
check
but
it out.
it should be there.
Well, like Dar we had changed into the policy, we won't write a check for it until we get an invoice, but it'd be nice to get approval, and hopefully this will, because we're gonna, once we switch it over and they close their account, they're gonna get their final bill, which will be now our final bill, because part of our contract is we pay for everything associated with closing of the property, closing out all that stuff. So that, hopefully that 1,000 offsets that in some way.
All right.
So that's only to RG&E for electric?
Correct.
Gas was seamless, it's already in our name, which is
That was National Fuel.
our national fuel. Yeah.
They were like, okay, yep, here you go, boom. Was it like that, and RG&E was trying to squeeze water from
They said
around.
that'd be day after I called, I spoke to them Thursday, like, Friday, went and switched over, but RG&E with the electric was a little more whining.
We don't have any RG&E accounts ever, because that's usually the trigger is.
That was one.
Yeah, it's the first time
I
ever
had the
we've had
TIN.
national, we've had, the other ones, we've National Grid, and we've had National Fuel at the other Cuba house that we had, remember the 95 feet?
For 3 years, right?
Maximum of 3 is how they described it,
Hey, really quick, just talking about RG&E, so because the fiscal year is not over, they still have economic development grant funds available. Have you had any conversation with them?
No, I mean.
I will extend an introduction for you.
Awesome.
It may get you nowhere,
Yeah, that's what.
but it will only be viable for those Main Street buildings.
So they have a March 31st fiscal year end?
I think so. I'll
Usually if
go
it's
back and
not
look.
January 1st, it's March 31st,
But I know they still have limited funds, and their program is not, it's not extravagant, it leaves a lot to be desired, but if nothing else, it will help with electrical infrastructure.
yeah. Yeah, that'd be awesome, that'd be a big help. We have a lot of electrical infrastructure updates, probably.
Okay, new business?
Items that have been tabled, I believe by Robert's rules, are supposed to be pulled from the table.
We didn't discuss it, we left it on the table. 10 Main Street?
But my understanding, again, well, that's what I'm saying is, by Robert's rules, you can't just leave something tabled. You have to pull it from the table and then
Retable
and
it.
retable
I
it.
was just wondering if we actually even really.
We didn't formally table it, we tabled it. There's never a
All
motion to
right,
table.
so there was no motion on the table?
Correct.
Okay, so never mind.
But yeah, that's a good note for future.
All right, so we move on to new business. We did Paris,
Check.
Seneca demo change orders.
Oh, we gotta do the audit, the committee reports.
What?
We did Paris, I
Are you
did an
on,
audit.
are you on
I'm
this?
on that, but I thought we did all that.
No, we never,
Committees did.
we're just looking for the audit committee, finance committee, government committee to send anything from the committees up. So I think that was just the annual report, the assessment certification, and the policy recommendation. So we can do it one at a time. Audit committee,
I make a motion.
he made a motion to,
The internal.
Accept internal controls.
accept internal controls and certify it.
Second? Will. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
And now to pass by.
The performance measurement policy, motion.
No best governance, sorry. The audit also needs to just submit, they approved the Paris annual report.
Well,
Let's
it's,
just do them in order.
yeah, this isn't by committee now, it's by the board, so. Let B, performance measurement policy. Motion to approve.
Brian with a Y.
Second.
Dave?
Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Item C, the 2025 Land Bank Annual Report to be submitted to Paris. Motion.
Darwin?
Yes, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Did we miss any?
Did what?
Did we miss any that you were hoping us to do that weren't ready?
No, I was just formally gonna have all the chairs submit their stuff, but we don't have to do that, that's just formality. Moving on.
Okay, demo change order, is that in the packet?
Yes. Should be Heg.
This one guy, everybody.
What do you say?
Pulse Excavation Group. Heg.
Cost $34.50 to get a.
So I was like, what the heck's a heck? Where? I see the bills.
It's after the bills.
It doubles as a bill.
It's in,
It's this one here, yeah, on the back, you go there.
Sediment control sock.
Sediment control size, I quoted from there, there's a lot of nomenclature for that piece of equipment. So this is just approving the change order, not the pay, the bill will be paid in the invoices section later on in the agenda. This is just to approve the work, that we are acknowledging that we're increasing the scope of that project.
Okay, motion to approve the change order.
Hold on, I gotta get back to the right page.
Page 4 on the agenda.
That'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ed.
Second,
Brian with a Y.
Ryan. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Item C, National Land Bank Network Learning Exchange.
So they're the National Land Bank Network, who sent me to Charleston, West Virginia a couple years ago. They've opened up another cohort for this one is focused on housing insecurity. They reached out directly to us and said, we see that you're doing work to try to combat the needs for your 55+ aged community in Houghton, and they want to invite us to apply for this learning exchange. They pay for lodging, food, and travel, so there'd be no
For the
cost.
full board?
For, I think it's a 4-person cohort, so it would be our team, and I think it could be 5 and 6, I think, but it's a minimum of 4 to be able to go, so if anyone wants to go, I think it'd be great for
Yeah,
those guys
dates.
to see, we work in hands, they don't have, it's in July, but they haven't come up with a date or venue yet. But
Is this
yeah,
the one that they sprang on us 2 weeks beforehand and everybody was already booked last year?
Yeah, and I went by myself, I ended up going with me and Chicago County coupled up, because they didn't have 4 people to send, I only had me, so we sent a,
So we need the exact date in order.
I know that's hard, but they don't submit the date until they get application.
So 2 weeks before this.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because of how they choose the venue and it's based on the applicants who get it. So if there's 4 land banks from around the country who get awarded it, they'll pick one of those land banks and have it in their hometown, or home catchment area.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a.
To be
Yeah, they
determined.
can't pick us. Yet.
All right, new item, we got 4 Main Street, Cuba. I spoke with the current owner and they would like to unload it for $1 for verbal. And then Jonathan and Jason were in Cuba last week and they were able to take a tour, so I'll let you guys.
We walked the property, it's the one if you're facing the Palmer Opera House, it's to the left. It used to be part of the Palmer Opera House, it's where you would go, there's this, if you're looking at Palmer Opera House, you have a building on the corner, then this building, then the Palmer, that's now still the Palmer, and there were stairs that went between the building, we'll call them 1, 2 and Palmer, so between 1 and 2, there were stairs that went up, and then you went to a right, and there would be a ticket booth up there, there was like a little recreation room with shuffleboard on to the left, and it was like the access to the upper floors of the Palmer. That door's been closed up, but now there's someone that already partially started the renovations to putting apartments up there, but the rubber roof blew off. I don't remember when he said, but it caused severe damage. There's still water. It was raining the day we were there. There's water just absolutely pouring from the roof down to the basement. So that's why they want to walk. They see.
In the back left-hand corner, not the entire.
That's right, but it's pretty bad. I mean, so this just happened the other day. We found out about it. Wanted to put it on your guys' radar, and we'll come back to you guys with. We're gonna go meet up with that owner with the drone, fly it around, and send you guys a video to look at it. Then we don't have to do walking tours of a building that's.
If you know, it used to be the drugstore, it was Mignano's and Rite Aid and Walgreens Walgreens had redone the whole downstairs. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
how much of that's been damaged, but.
It's not really bad, only the back. So it's the roof and the back of the building, depending on what kind of engineering you get into from the rot of the sill plate and stuff that's actually structural. It's just an unknown. But what a building, man, it's impressive.
Yeah.
And that should fall under the historic district as well, right?
Yes, it's historic.
It's got, the facade has siding on it, but it's brick behind it, so we should be able to remove it.
It's in, yes, and it's in the historic district. I can't remember the number of units upstairs that could be, it's very open, there's no doors or anything upstairs. But there's some new drywall in there.
They got new windows, right?
Yeah, most of them are windows now.
How long has the water been going through it?
I think a year.
Over quite a while. Well, I would say
I think it was last
they
summer.
had it laid down and then they blew off again,
So
so
they'll go next door to
6
the
or 8 months.
Yeah, Alchemy and.
But
But it
They
hasn't
were
been
supposedly
years.
removing it.
it hasn't been years. It's been years, there's been
I
damage
think
to
I
it,
just understood a lot.
but
Okay,
they
that
have
makes-
remediated it and then it's caused a problem again. So it's been years, it's been an issue, but they have already tried to solve it and now it's still a problem again.
So.
But in all honesty, it's not as bad as it seems.
It's not a C building, right? So A is like.
It's not as bad as
I'm
Friendship.
just saying, so.
Yeah, it's
that
not a
could
C
be
building, it's not like,
a
I consider A like
Well, that's
ready
not
for
big.
the retail market. B needs a bunch of work. C
I think
needs a
they're-
ton of work, and D we can tear it down. This would be a B.
Board is a
We
little
would write that
bit
scale.
because of the work.
This would be a what?
A
And
B.
Oh, I thought you said D. Tear it down. I'm like, we just said not to. It's manageable, really, it's the back corner, back,
but it seems like.
I wouldn't even call it a quarter, maybe an eighth of the building.
Okay, we spent maybe an hour in there, but we're gonna go back through and get a more thorough look.
They got the sidewalk closed off on South Street?
A month ago.
I don't know. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, I didn't notice.
Especially there's blockades on the sidewalk on South Street, right next to the pizza shop.
They had not enough.
Well, I guess they're doing water and gas lines there.
Oh, I thought that might have been for the building.
But is that building right for, right there, it's the same guy that owns it.
Yeah, it's not damage, it's not sure falling or anything like that, it's just water's coming through.
It's just a $200,000 roof. And these people, what are they gonna, how are they gonna get that back in rent over time, you know? They
So
don't,
maybe they could have a chunk of it.
Yeah.
but they wanna.
They've already piled a bunch of money into it already. And then the roof thing happened again, and they're like, oh.
I don't
I'm
know.
screwed, so.
That's
It's not that we
sustainable.
really need another building
Oh,
now.
yeah, that's true.
I mean,
No,
we
that's-
always need
that's
more
not a
buildings,
bad
sorry,
way to go
but
about
more
it,
buildings,
to be
all the
honest.
Yeah, I thought the grant people
And
said
then they
that
could
we
lease
should
the storefront, like.
quit getting buildings until we get some of this stuff cleaned up.
That was you that said that.
The grant people said, keep getting more buildings, so we keep
Grant
getting
people
more
wants
money.
that 1,000 building
So the deciding factor, because we're the land bank, we don't trade money like a bank, we hold properties like a piggy bank. We can hold this property if what we want to know before we get it, do we have enough money to triage this thing? So it doesn't get worse while we hold it. That's really the deciding factor we should get, because we can hold it for, if we have the money to hold it for a couple of years, we could get a lot of stuff out of our way, but we'd have to hold. And then we don't have to like jump right into it. But getting it to
But we
hold,
would have to do the roof.
we'd have to at least do some kind of triage to get that, stop that water from coming in, which maybe, I don't know, I guess can't.
If you look at a lot of I know Lionel and Terry have done it, instead of replacing a rubber roof, is to just put a
Pitch it, steel.
Yeah,
It's still,
and they had already had the Amish come in and look to do that work, so it wouldn't be that expensive to do that.
Yeah, I think initially we just get in there with, and just get it, the rubber roof flat back down. It keeps blowing up and no one's doing anything to solve the problem that's happening. So I think that would, getting on the roof, getting the drone out there is gonna be the first step. So we're not asking you for a resolution to take the property, but, we just want a little guidance of what you guys, what, besides things I just said, the video, to see what it looks like, and come up, do we have the money to even treat it?
Well, I don't know that I want to say so there is interest, from a neighbor, and I don't want to publicly put it out there.
Yeah,
But
Sure.
I was sharing with Brian, I think there's a partner opportunity.
yeah.
You may not have to do the entire thing.
so co-development.
Yeah,
Yes.
what would be to have somebody who wanted the commercial space on the bottom, take that, and then that's be their part of the partnership, and then we work on the residential, because that's what we do. And that would save a lot of the money for someone wanting to get in, and then we'd still sell them, we would rent them, or, we would be the landlord, but it would take a large weight off somebody who just wanted it for the commercial space. We couldn't do the opposite. If someone wanted the residential and say, well, we'll do the commercial, we don't do that. But we could definitely help with the residential if somebody else could take the weight of the commercial storefront.
I think that's probably viable, with the intent to maybe offload the entire building when it's done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I can explore that if you'd like.
Yeah.
Yes, please do. Like
Well,
today.
You also have
So
a
we have a
possible tenant.
Yes.
Are you spoken to him?
Rather, they came to me about that building.
And if we were all talking about saying, hey, if it's money, it's not feasible for the average person who wants to make any money off that place to get into it without a land bank or a substantial infrastructure grant.
Yeah.
And we could provide them that bridge. We just need to bridge this one. I wouldn't wanna hold it throughout fruition. I would like to get in there, triage it, put some money towards it, and then get it out of our hands to somewhere better, but just kind of be that bridge to stop it from everything. The water was literally pouring in because they said the roof keeps blowing up. That seems like a problem we could solve.
Well, if we think about it in a different kind of manner too, let's think about it another year or two down the road, when this is a known problem for this building, and it ends up back on the tax roll, back on taxes anyway.
Well, you don't want it to turn into another front yard.
Yeah, that's what it's on its way. This is.
This is ideally,
Someone was friendship in 2012 is where.
It makes perfect sense for us.
ideally preventative to more damage.
If we can find the money.
So I'll come up with a financial breakdown of what money we might need to put into it, and where that money would come from, and we'll send it before the meeting. That'll be at the meeting. Before the meeting, we will make a link to a video that everyone can watch and see what we're talking about.
Good.
We'll get more
We have
information narrated.
We have a YouTube channel now, don't we?
Yeah, we'll put it on our YouTube channel.
All right, so let's pay some bills.
I'm good.
Why?
Boy, that place is strong. Oh,
A lot.
No, that only,
yeah.
no, actually, he still kept us at the same rate. That extra $1,100 is for the work he did in the summer with us. Remember, we had an extra couple sessions with him to help clear our process.
Okay.
So that's that extra money there. But he,
All right.
Just that 990 filing, I got a quote from Glenn who does our other stuff for a different entity. And, you know, it's in the thousands to do that,
Yeah.
just that.
Really?
So
Yeah, so we got our audits that night.
10 to 20 hours of his time,
Yeah, wow.
plus a
Or the
fee.
club, if you were to go down there with every year, you're gonna have that added expense as well.
It's minimal for a club, I'll talk to you about it later.
Postcard.
And if you'll see Glenn Smith's invoice is substantially higher than it
Yeah.
usually is. That's because his Paris time is always a little bit bigger, and that's also filing 990 or 1099 for us, so that's a little more out of his day-to-day work that, or month-to-month work that he normally does. So he's done
Wait a
Paris audit.
I thought Ed was gonna do the 990.
1099.
Well, 1090.
Yeah.
The regular
Gotcha.
bookkeeper.
Ed would make the motion to pay the bills.
Great. Enthusiastically.
So
Well,
we have a second? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have many capital invoices. Well, we are trying to spend money.
well, looks like we're doing it.
So does that Halsey excavating include the one we just approved?
We approved to do the work, this would be approved to pay.
It was a change order, so we had to
For the
approve
snow,
the change.
I mean, the sediment.
Yeah, same thing, yeah, we just approved the scope before this is approved the payment. RG&E, they never sent over that invoice, so you see how West Side Construction says approval only, this one will also be approval only. That's on there for you, Dar, just so we don't send out checks that weren't approved, or weren't put on invoices.
So do you convey that to Glenn?
Yes.
So he doesn't write the check until we get the invoice? Gotcha. Okay.
What was James Ball surveying?
The work for the properties that were closing, the Peter Degnan's office had hired them to do them, and then we usually pay them at the end of closing. Since we transferred closing, we're just gonna cover these because they're invoiced to Peter Degnan, so. That is for, 111 Main Street, 12-2, and. What is that,
The James Ball was for 2 West Main Street in Friendship. And then there's AW Abstract Co. That's also really good. There's 2 invoices for that. One is for 2 West Main Street in Friendship. And then the second one is for 111 Bolivar. They had started the title work for us to transfer to Habitat. So we have to pay, even though that offer.
But we'll need, we already had the survey done first to find out, for his discovery. And then, so we have now title work and survey for that property, which will speed up closing next time.
When does, West Side anticipate starting work? We gotta wait for environmental.
He's ready to go.
That's why this is
As soon
approval
as
only.
We get the approval, go
Do
through.
we have any idea? how
This
long
is
it's gonna
25%, this is first English payment. How long is
take? The environmental too?
it's happening in mid-May, or mid-April, we hope a month after that to be back in the project.
Yeah.
But all that work there that he's gonna be doing is mostly the foundation work, which is, it's just not, he's not gonna be there for a month, so,
Okay, just so I'm clear. This is, what you just said, percentage. So we're approving it, but we're not paying it until he sends us an invoice, which he's not gonna do until he starts the project, is that correct?
Correct, till he gets a notice to proceed. This is approving it, so for budgetary reasons and for getting the money in, so the money will be here when he acts.
So I would make the motion to pay the capital invoices.
Can I add one thing to it? I apologize. So Kira.
There was earlier time when we approved the agenda to add items to the agenda.
I get approval to add some
That's my
information
fault.
to this paper piece
Here sent us an invoice that came in the mail on Friday that is another Belmont hardware invoice for $47.19. So I had asked Glenn if he could cut an additional check that Darwin can sign after this meeting, but I just wanted to, for the record, say that
What's
that
that
would be
total?
$47.19. I'm done.
I would move to pay the capital invoices as amended.
Second?
It's the last set of keys.
Brian, will why?
Any other discussion, additions,
$47 seems so cheap.
approve?
Yeah,
All favor?
Yeah, check, I got something I gotta bring.
I was responsible
I was
for that.
nervous to bring it up.
I'm working on it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
Before you
carried.
move on from that, will you explain all those tax bill things that came in Friday too? There was a bunch, there was 3 or 4 that- from towns, most of them were literally changing your pocket. And there was one that was more, but you sent me a quick email.
Yeah, so we, earlier in the year received some tax bills, and I called all of the assessors to straighten everything out and was told it was fine. And then we have subsequently received like the scarier letter of if you don't pay these, you're in trouble. So I have to call this week and figure out what's going on, but as the Whitesville properties, just, there's a new person in that role, so she didn't have us marked as a nonprofit. I'll follow up on that, and then one was it was like one of the Olive Street lots from Bolivar Transfer. There were 3 parcels there, and one of them still was in our address was still in the system instead of the new person's address. So I forwarded that onto the real estate agent who gave it to the person who owns it now and called the county, and they said, yeah, you're not responsible for that. So that should be cleared up. And then the last one was Grover, which we had paid the delinquent as part of our,
Remember the tax sale,
the tax sale,
where
there
almost
was
didn't
that
use the
whole big
properties because they
thing.
wanted that money, they would forgive it, and then they made me sit there and pay, and then we ended up having to pay it, and then now they're billing us for it again, after all that.
So this is an issue Jason said he's always had with these.
I keep files of the deed, every time we get a deed, I mark the date and then when we get these bills, I send the deed, hey, it's not ours, it hasn't been, it wasn't, this is from before it was ours, or this is ours now, we should be taxed, and it usually gets, yep, we got it, no problem, and then we'll get another one, and then we'll get another one, and then the next one will be 0. So over time, I've learned it, instead of just fighting it all the time, just waiting for it to go through whatever it goes through at the county level, because it eventually clears out.
Rather than resetting it every time.
Even if I have to, because even when I contact them, they'll say, yeah, we got it cleared, and we'll still get one, because there's some, I don't know how it works, between the towns, the villages, the county treasurers.
So county doesn't get updated until after May, right?
Yeah, but they got, and then they make people whole, they make the towns whole, they make the utilities whole, like, there's all those aspects. A lot of times it's the utility things, the unpaid waters, then they're getting re-levied or something like that. It's a complex system, and
Doesn't work well. Thank you, Kate.
All right, good to the order, Brownfield Summit.
Brownfield Summit in Herkimer. I was gonna try to go to that, I'm not gonna be able to pull it off. Do you know if anybody, I know, what's the name, from the IDA will be going, but we're not, hopefully they bring back some good information, I can't take that one. Historic Preservation Conference, me and Kate and I are going to the Hall of Fame. We've been inducted, Kate and I are speaking at that in Cooperstown on the 16th. It's the 15th, 16th, and 17th. We are only going to the 16th, hoping to get some reimbursement from the board for our travel on that house. You know, I can just bring receipts. I don't have the budget number in front of you right now.
I'll make a motion for you to attend on the 16th.
Thanks.
Up to $25 reimbursement.
Mine, that's not bad.
Basically, hour
Ryan, what night your chaperone and credit card holder?
And the board will be responsible for the cost.
We have a second to that motion.
Brian,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next board meeting, April 20th, same time, same back channel.
Just so you know, I will not be here,
No committees.
so if somebody else gets to take the minutes.
I gotta tell you, as fast as this meeting went with all the committee stuff going on, it was pretty impressive.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Dave?
all in favor?
Right?
Thank you all.